Smack It Off the Podcast is coming soon. Why would you assume something different? Smack It Off the Podcast is preparing now to tell you why your team is so horrendous. Oh dear, what a shame. Always the same game. Loser at all things. No luck that it brings. Fails at every try. Can't help but sigh. Clumsy and in wit. Can't seem to quit. Trips over on feet. Defeat is so sweet. Pathetic poor soul can't reach any goal. But hey, don't you fret. You're not beaten yet. Keep on trying, friend. Maybe luck will bend. Smack It Off the Podcast is coming soon. Why would you assume something different? Smack It Off the Podcast is preparing now to tell you why your team is so horrendous. Oh dear, what a shame. Always the same game. Loser at all things. No luck that it brings. Fails at every try. Can't help but sigh. Clumsy and in wit. Can't seem to quit. Trips over on feet. Defeat is so sweet. Pathetic poor soul can't reach any goal. But hey, don't you fret. You're not beaten yet. Keep on trying, friend. Maybe luck will bend. Trips over own feet. Defeat is so sweet. Pathetic poor soul can't reach any goal. But hey, don't you fret. You're not beaten yet. Keep on trying, friend. Maybe luck will bend. Trips over own feet. Defeat is so sweet. Pathetic poor soul can't reach any goal. But hey, don't you fret. You're not beaten yet. Keep on trying, friend. Maybe luck will bend. Trips over own feet. Defeat is so sweet. Pathetic poor soul can't reach any goal. But hey, don't you fret. You're not beaten yet. Keep on trying, friend. Maybe luck will bend. Trips over own feet. Defeat is so sweet. Pathetic poor soul can't reach any goal. But hey, don't you fret. You're not beaten yet. Keep on trying, friend. Maybe luck will bend. Smack It Off the Podcast is coming soon. Why would you assume something different? Smack It Off the Podcast is preparing now to tell you why your team is so horrendous. Oh dear, what a shame. Always the same game. Loser at all things. No luck that it brings. Fails at every try. Can't help but sigh. Clumsy and in wit. Can't seem to quit. Trips over on feet. Defeat is so sweet. Pathetic poor soul can't reach any goal. But hey, don't you fret. You're not beaten yet. Keep on trying, friend, maybe luck will bend. Smack It Off the Podcast is coming soon. Why would you assume something different? Smack It Off the Podcast is preparing now to tell you why your team is so horrendous. Oh dear, what a shame. Always the same game. Loser at all things. No luck that it brings. Fails at every try. Can't help but sigh. Clumsy and dim-wit. Can't seem to quit. Trips over on feet. Defeat is so sweet. Pathetic poor soul can't reach any goal. But hey, don't you fret, you're not beaten yet. Keep on trying, friend, maybe luck will bend. Trips over own feet, defeat is so sweet. Pathetic poor soul can't reach any goal. But hey, don't you fret, you're not beaten yet. Keep on trying, friend, maybe luck will bend. Trips over own feet, defeat is so sweet. Pathetic poor soul can't reach any goal. But hey, don't you fret, you're not beaten yet. Keep on trying, friend, maybe luck will bend. Trips over own feet, defeat is so sweet. Pathetic poor soul can't reach any goal. But hey, don't you fret, you're not beaten yet. Keep on trying, friend, maybe luck will bend. Trips over own feet, defeat is so sweet. Pathetic poor soul can't reach any goal. But hey, don't you fret, you're not beaten yet. Keep on trying, friend, maybe luck will bend. Smack It Off the Podcast is coming soon. Why would you assume something different? Smack It Off the Podcast is preparing now to tell you why your team is so horrendous. Oh dear, what a shame. Always the same game. Loser at all things. No luck that it brings. Fails at every try. Can't help but sigh. Clumsy and dim-wit. Can't seem to quit. Trips over on feet. Defeat is so sweet. Pathetic poor soul can't reach any goal. But hey, don't you fret, you're not beaten yet. Keep on trying, friend, maybe luck will bend. Smack It Off the Podcast is coming soon. Why would you assume something different? Smack It Off the Podcast is preparing now to tell you why your team is so horrendous. Oh dear, what a shame. Always the same game. Loser at all things. No luck that it brings. Fails at every try. Can't help but sigh. Clumsy and dim-wit. Can't seem to quit. Trips over on feet. Defeat is so sweet. Pathetic poor soul can't reach.
The ball's in the house. Where the Dr. Balls is a presentation of Smacking Off the Podcast.
In the house, what's going on? The doctor knows who's going down. Dr. Balls will know. In the house, what's going on? The doctor knows who's going down. Dr. Balls will know.
All right, everybody. Welcome back to Smacking Off the Podcast.
What's going on?
What's up, Big Doug? What's up, Ed? So, Doug, I see that they didn't play games with your mic. We love that.
Oh yeah, I really don't know. It's kind of a surprise every time we go live. I don't know what they're going to do with my mic. It could be my mic, but I've tested it on everything else and it's working. So fuck you, Streamlabs, right?
Yeah, fuck you, Streamlabs. Absolutely.
What's up, Sean?
What's going on, guys?
How you doing?
All right. We got Titanic basketball action tonight, guys. Right now, I'm looking at a major contest between the Cats and the Vols. It's close with about 3 minutes to go. So that's just the caliber of action we got today, and I'm excited about it. Yeah. So, oh, goodness, I about lost my mind. It looked like Ziegler was going to bust one from deep three. I'm like, oh, no, we can't have it happen with 3 minutes left. Because since the Cats has had a couple of Titanic collapses over the last couple games, but, you know, I don't want them to collapse in this one. It's just they're beating Tennessee at home, which is a big deal. And Tennessee's 4-3 in the conference this moment, and Kentucky's 3-3. So if the Cats win this game, they'll be tied in conference. The Cats will have one tiebreaker, and it'll be just a brutal conference, guys. Am I the only one seeing this?
No, I'm watching it.
Yeah, I'm talking about the conference, though, how brutal it is, how much competition
Oh my
there's.
God, it's ridiculous.
Brutal
Yeah.
two ways, you might say. Absolutely competitive, as you're stating. I agree. Brutal as in watching some of these games. This isn't great basketball, I'll be honest. This is what I like to call football on hardwood, particularly watching that Auburn-Tennessee game the other night. Combined, the teams were 5 for 37 from three. A lot of elbows and shoulders being banged into bodies. Just not a clean form of Naismith's game from what I've been watching.
Well, I'm thinking home cooking. I agree with you, Sean, and I'm thinking home cooking refereeing is getting out of hand everywhere you go. I mean, you can't just say that they're fucking the Cats in this game. In the first half, Kentucky had 9 or 10 fouls, and Tennessee had 3. I mean, and it's just brutal how they're attacking the ball handlers on the inbounds and stuff. They're obviously smacking the hell out of people, and there was a lot of that went on in that game. And like you said, people weren't
in the Auburn-Tennessee game, they inbound the ball to the Tennessee ball handler, and the Auburn defender drags him down, and instead of calling it a foul, which it clearly was, they called it traveling on the ball carrier. Well, of course he traveled. He was being pulled to the ground.
Yes, unbelievable. And it's not like Ziegler can't handle the ball. Ziegler's one of the best players in the fucking country. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I go, that's a new version of traveling that I'm not familiar with. Checking the old rule book.
I thought I was watching the Kentucky-Tennessee game, and the channel that says it has South Florida against.
Well, I've got the quad box going, so I got Tennessee, Kentucky in one of my screens. I got South Carolina at Georgia. Georgia's putting it on them pretty good. Marquette, surprisingly, is down, but it's early to Butler.
Yeah, I see that.
And then we're almost done up in Athens, Ohio, the other Athens, as Toledo's clinging to a 3-point lead on the road at Ohio. Yeah, in some action.
Some action, baby.
They're both
Hell yeah.
11-8. Big game there in the MAC between the Rockets of Toledo and the Bobcats of Ohio.
Yes, it is a huge game, and they.
There
I love it.
is no. We didn't have a Monday Night Miracle like we had.
We
last
had
night. Ohio Falls 86-83. That'll finish that one.
my
But y'all
Terps
didn't stay
had
up late last night to see that one. I made mention of it and nobody said anything, so y'all were in bed asleep.
Yeah, I passed out. I tried to watch it, but I was gone. I fell out.
You talking about USC UCLA?
No, it was Iowa State at Arizona. They were trying to complete the Arizona sweep after they had beat Arizona State on Saturday. And again, this is why free throws are so important. So, Iowa State gets the ball, time's running out, maybe 3 seconds on the clock. They foul, go to the line. It's bonus plus, so they got 2 free throws. If he makes both, it's a 4-point game. 3 doesn't beat you or even tie you. But no, he clanks the first one, makes the second. They inbound. He runs it to not quite half court. He's in a prayer, goes in, and we go into overtime. And that's the motivation Arizona needed, and they took it to him in overtime and won the game.
Hell yeah! What a tough loss.
You just make a free throw, you win the game.
Hey, my Terps had a good week on the road.
Yeah, they did. Then they go beat Illinois
badly.
Yeah, that was shocking to me. Illinois is a strange team this year. They've played well at times. They've played awful at times.
They're kind of a strange team every year, though. I mean, but I was very happy that the Terps avoided the letdown and won at Indiana, who's not a great team, but certainly no gimme when you go into Assembly Hall.
Correct.
So,
oh, yeah.
And to get the late 3 to win it after blowing a big lead was nice. So that's 2 true road wins in the conference.
That's really important for Maryland. Maryland's they're not. I don't want to call them bubble, but they're just ahead of the bubble. Like they're in right now, but these are the games they got to keep winning to stay away from the bubble.
Yeah, I mean, they were 0-4 in true road games before these last 2, so that will definitely look good in the committee. They're 6-4 in the conference. Honestly, I think 10-10 gets them in. That would put them at 20-11. That doesn't keep them out of 68.
Yeah, I think that would get them in 20-11. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe a win or 2 in the conference tournament.
Yeah, I mean that 20-11 before the conference tournament puts them at like 8 or 9 seed.
Yeah. No, that's they're doing what they need to do. This is that time of year. We're getting towards the end of January, and then February is the big month, and then then we're March. So
yeah.
We're getting there, fellas. We're 7 weeks away from Selection Sunday, and we still don't have a lot of resolution. There's a lot of teams in that 45 to 80 window that are trying to get these 68 slots, and it's going to come down to the end as it always does, and there are going to be some broken hearts for sure on Selection Sunday. I think more than normal.
And I think this year the seeding is going to be really tough.
Seeding is going to be crazy tough. Other than, you're going to have a few of those, smaller conferences that have the guaranteed one bid leagues that, for the most part, probably won't beat the SEC or Big Ten heavyweights in round 1. But you never know.
But I think like those 2, 3, 4 seed lines are going to be really hard for the committee to figure out.
Oh, big time.
Now, something was interesting on last week's show. We made several predictions that turned out to be true. One of them was Missouri over Ole Miss. The other one was Houston, and Missouri came through and won the game at home. So that was a good prediction.
That was a great game. That was a dogfight all the way to the end.
Oh, absolutely. It was a tough game. And It's a great game for Missouri to stay in the top 20 and to stay relevant in the conference. And then Houston beat Kansas at Kansas as we predicted.
I think I think I was on Kansas and most of you guys took the Cougars.
It took them
Yeah.
2 overtimes to do it. That's for sure.
All right, and I went with my pessimistic view of Alabama, and I said it would be within 10 against LSU, and that happened as well.
Oh, we like that.
Those pesky LSU Tigers, man, they wouldn't go away. I kept waiting for Alabama to kind of put their foot down on the accelerator, and
I was kind of waiting for Alabama to fucking blow it, dude. That's what I was waiting for.
No. Alabama was one of the best teams in the country. I knew they weren't going to lose that game, but they just couldn't. They just couldn't shake LSU. You know, they'd go up 5 or 6, and then LSU would bring it back down, and then Bama would go back up.
Well,
I mean,
Bama was favored by 17 and a half, and LSU jumped on them early.
They did, but that's the toughness of a Nate Oates coach team. Alabama didn't back away. I mean, they go, wait a minute, we're at home, we're the better team, and we're gonna win this game. And that's what they certainly did. I mean, really, the only thing that came out of that game that's been of news of note was Sears not playing the second half, and some butthurt fans or family members about that. And I loved Coach Oates' answer. He said, I'm playing the 5 players that give our team the best chance to win the ball game. That's the perfect answer.
Yep, absolutely. I agree with that. That was a strong coaching flex on his part. He's saying to the whole team that you can get in there and play, or you can not be in there and play, depending on your effort level, right? And so that's really what basketball is about: is effort, right? Effort and energy. How long can you put out effort without getting tired, right? That's really what basketball is about. That's why you see rarely teams press for 40 minutes at a time the way Arkansas and Kentucky did in the 90s, because they don't have the bench for it. And so you have to pick and choose. You have to have a certain effort level all the time, and then pick and choose when to go all out. And that was an example of it. He chose not to go all out, and he made mistakes, and they benched him, and his replacement won the game,
Wrong message to the team, and a lot of coaches wouldn't do that.
Yeah, I mean, just because the guy had an incredible March in 24 doesn't mean, that if he starts loafing in 25, that's going to be tolerated. And I think it was a great message by Coach Oates.
A lot of coaches don't have the chops to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's
great benefit to both Alabama.
To Oates, for this is how I run my program, and if you don't like it, there's the bench, and if that doesn't suit you too well, then there's the door. Because
I agree with you.
We'll find guys that want to be on this team.
Yep.
Now, to Sears, and what's interesting is, even though Sears, who is a great player, so we don't want to disparage him too hard, he's one of the best players in the country.
He's definitely one of the best guards in America when he's on.
Oh yeah,
that's why it was a strong message.
Oh yeah. But you look at Ziegler too at Tennessee. So these are 2 of the best guards in the country. Yet they came back for another year of basketball. Why is that? Is it because the NBA feels that they don't have the size to play in the NBA right now? Now I noticed that Ziegler's probably put on 8 or 10 pounds, and he's able to bust through screens that were knocking him down last year. But it's interesting to me that 2 of the best players in the country, even last year, right, didn't go to the NBA. And I don't know if NIL is a factor in that. Could they make more money in NIL? Does the league not think there's ready? What do you think, Ed?
I agree.
And then, what about you, Sean? What do you think about
those broadcasting school classes are doing wonders for you? I might add.
No, I was
very distinct.
He's watching something. What are you watching, Ed? You're watching a porno, aren't you?
No, the cat was doing something that he shouldn't have done, and I wasn't listening.
Cats don't do that. Everything cats do should be done. Everybody knows.
Look,
that.
I'm busted, so that's it.
Well, to answer Dr. Balls' question, I certainly think NIL is playing a bigger role now in basketball. You're seeing guys stay, but also I think it's just the NBA versus college basketball is just such a completely different game, different league. And if you're not going to get a first round, it's not like the NFL where you get 7 rounds of drafting. It's 2 rounds. That's it. And there are not many spots. There's only 30 teams in the NBA. Last I checked, there's not a lot of seats. So, if I'm not getting a first round grade and I'm getting some NIL wherever I'm at, whatever conference I'm in, why not stay? And I think that could be great for college basketball, where we're seeing guys stay 2, 3, 4, even 5 years. The games will be better because that guy that you saw as a freshman, he's still there, and you guys are seniors now. That's what made the 80s, in the ACC and the Big Ten and the Pac-10 at the time and the Big East so good, as those guys were. Chris Mullen was at St. John's for 4 years. Patrick Ewing was at Georgetown for 4 years.
And what do you know?
Amazing.
What do you know? I might actually be ready for the league by sticking around.
Right, your body fills out. Your game gets better. You hit the weight room. I just think, to me, as long as you're getting NIL, so you're not hurting for money now. Why not stick around? College basketball is incredible.
You said about the difference between the college and the program, physical strength and endurance. You're going from maybe low 40s games to 82 in the playoffs.
That too. I mean, the pro life is a grind, and you have to be, unlike college, where the college not only is the coach there, but the staff is there to kind of, keep track of, like, hey, are you going to class? Are you going to the, training table? Are you going to the weight room? Are you going to this, that? The pros, they kind of, when you're not there for practice or the weight room or the game, you got a lot of free time on your hands, and sometimes that's not good for young people, as we know.
No, I'd agree with that, and there's maturity levels too. Things can happen. Like if you get in the NBA at 19 years old and you get a hoard of money, I mean, there's no telling what might go on. Most of them guys waste all their money quick anyway, and then if they're out of the league quick, they ain't got nothing. So it's a tough situation. If you can stay in school and make money,
yeah, and get your degree. I mean, there's so many more, especially with the NIL now, and even the transfer portal. In basketball, I mean, to me, the college game in the next few years, even more than college football, college basketball should be really good with a lot of really good teams because of NIL and transfer portal. And I think we're seeing that just the beginning of that this year with so many great teams and the dogfight that just Ed alluded to of, man, who's going to be a 2 seed, a 3 seed, a 4, even a 5 seed is going to be a dogfight to get those spots in the tournament. I mean, I think I saw the other day, right? The field is 68, but you're talking right now, there's potentially 85 teams that at this point in time, maybe even closer to 90, that could make the tournament where they're at right now. Now they got to play these games still, but I just think the college game in basketball is going to just get great here in the next 5 to 10 years, assuming they don't turn off the NIL, because even a small NIL deal is better than not being drafted into the NBA, and then you're looking for, maybe a European league or an Asian league to play in, and hopefully you get on there so you can make some money. Whereas
I think we improved the NBA too, Sean, and to make the players, because I really wasn't satisfied with the young players in the NBA. They weren't ready.
Right. Yeah. I mean, that's, some of these guys, they do get that first round draft grade, and then they get in the league, and I mean, you go, okay, this guy should have stayed in college. He's not ready. He's definitely not ready. And the NBA is, like Ed said, that's a grown man's league, man. Those dudes. The one difference, if you watch NBA versus college, like we talked to in that Tennessee Auburn game, is that, man, I watched the NBA the other night, and these dudes make their jump shots with regularity. They don't. Whereas in a college game, you go, man, the shooting tonight's a little brutal, a lot of bricks. The NBA, man, those guys, that's the one thing just about all of them can do is if they're open, they make the jump shot.
There's a lot more defense played in general. I'm not saying it's better defense, but there's a lot more defense played at the college level as well. And then plus you can get huge team disparities that you wouldn't have in the NBA, even though we've seen horrible NBA teams, don't get me wrong. But in general, I could take the worst team in the NBA, and if I put them in college with college rules, they probably win against the national champion, you know. But I don't know. Sometimes
I would take the worst NBA team over the national champion, regardless. I mean,
even the Wizards.
Even the Wizards, yes, or my Chicago Bulls, who are terrible as well.
No, in relatively recent times, Kentucky has beaten under Adolph Rupp. They won Olympic gold medals, beat NBA All-Star teams, right? And this is in the 50s, though. It's a long time since shit like this went on. I mean, I think the Kentucky won the 1960 Olympic gold medal without any, as a team, right? And so it's possible.
Well, Team USA with a lot of Kentucky Wildcat representation and Adolph Rupp is the coach, right?
No, it was the entire team of the Wildcats with no other players in Adolph Rupp.
There were no other college players on that team.
That's hilarious.
Right. That's crazy.
Hey, so a lot of people don't realize this, but they used to put the college all-stars in college football up against the Super Bowl champs.
They did.
Yeah.
And there was 1 year, my dad told me this was in the 60s, that the college all-stars actually won that game.
They did.
That's wild as hell. Now, how do you get pro player?
Doug, do you remember the last time that the game was played?
No. It was nothing that I ever actually paid attention to, but my dad told me about it.
So it was in the, I want to say early or mid 70s. And it was the college all-stars, as you said, against the Super Bowl, the defending Super Bowl champion, which was one of those Pittsburgh Steelers teams, right? And and they were playing it at Soldier Field in Chicago, and the Steelers were up 24-3, I believe, at halftime, and then a hellacious summer thunderstorm came into Chicago, as known to happen, and you talk about thunder and lightning and rain just coming down in sheets.
Kentucky just won the game,
and they called the game, at halftime, and whoever was the sponsor that was paying for it just said, "Yeah, we're not interested in sponsoring it anymore," and both the NFL and the were like, "Yeah, we're not really interested in playing it." It never came back.
The sponsor pulled out at fucking halftime. That's fucking hilarious, dude.
It's raining cats and dogs, and the weather's terrible. The Steelers are killing the colleges. Yeah, we're good. No more of this, and also, kind of a precursor to this coming weekend's, it's not the Pro Bowl anymore. It's the Pro Bowl games, because the same thing was, those college all-stars, I think, had already been drafted onto NFL teams. They go, why would we want these guys getting hurt in a game that doesn't matter?
Right.
It
was a stupid game.
So that's, it's funny how that game went away, and now, we don't have a Pro Bowl game anymore. They're going to play a flag football game on Sunday that the guys aren't going full speed.
Dr. Balls, what did you say about Kentucky a minute ago?
Well, they won the game.
Yep.
They won the game that second.
Congrats, Bob, and your Cats, man. That's a big win, and then you know what you got coming Saturday, right?
Well, yeah, we got some Arkansas action.
You got the revenge game, baby, revenge game. Calipari.
Oh, yeah.
Think he might have that game scheduled circled on his schedule?
Oh, you know it.
Hey guys, this may be the biggest Alabama-Auburn basketball games ever this year.
Oh, huge. Absolutely huge. And right now, both teams, Doug, are slated. Should they continue doing what they've been doing? Both are scheduled to be 1 seeds in the tournament.
Yeah. So they can play through the tournament and then play in the SEC tournament and then play in the NCAA tournament against each
That
other.
would be insane if we could get 4 Alabama-Auburn basketball games this year. That would be awesome.
Yeah, it would. I
Because
mean,
the games have always been intense. And now this year with how good the teams are, I mean, I can't wait for Alabama-Auburn. I think that's going to be just – now, again, as Dr. Balls alluded to earlier in the show, what officials are we going to get? And how are they going to officiate this game?
Yep, because you can't get – I mean, you can't get anything underneath on other teams' home floor. If you're fighting the ball for the ball as strong as they are, whether it's on the floor, whether it's for rebounds, then everything's a foul. If you get close to shooters, everything's a foul. Now, there is a lot of fouling. I saw one a few minutes ago where the guy cleared his guy out with his hand, and then they looked at it and tried to see whether or not it was flagrant, because I believe he did try to smack a dude up against the head, because that's one of the tricks I want to do. And there's just all kinds of that stuff going on. People are falling there, flailing about and smacking people upside the head.
Trying to give him the old Deacon Jones, man. Rattle that noggin.
Yeah, there's a lot of it going on, man. And people are holding each other mid-run and letting them go real quick. I mean, people are learning how to game the foul thing, or they're trying to. And it's as far as college basketball in the SEC goes this year, it's as rough as I ever seen. And the
other thing is, there's some games where you go, man, you go, one team has gotten, 15 trips to the foul, charity stripe. The other team's got 2, and you go,
yeah,
they've both been playing pretty physical here. I don't know how there's quite this disparity. So, like you said, I think the home teams have been getting a little extra cooking, in conference play. Now, tonight, obviously I was watching Kentucky, Tennessee, but I was also watching South Carolina, Georgia, and Georgia took it to them. I think it's final now. Let me check the score. But that was a big win for Georgia to stay alive, not just in the conference race, but in a chance to finally end their drought. It's been a while since Georgia's been to the NCAA tournament, if I'm not mistaken. So that was a big win for Georgia tonight, to get to 15-6, and it kept South Carolina, winless in conference, and they'll be looking towards next year, which is crazy because not too long ago, remember, South Carolina had a Final Four run with Frank?
Frank. God, I know exactly what you're talking about. He was a real disciplinarian, square
Frank.
Yeah, real had a real iron jaw to him.
Yeah,
well dressed guy.
Oh, I loved his blazers, man. Those sport coats were dynamite. I need his suit guy for sure.
Is he out of coaching now?
That's a great question. He shouldn't be. Other than maybe. That disciplinarian style of coach, it doesn't work in some places, but you'd think somebody would.
Didn't he do something to get canned though? Because he was.
Yeah, there was some kind of minor scandal, I believe.
Yeah,
that's what I'm looking up to see. I could have remembered there was something.
What is sexual harassment or something like that?
That's what got rid of Les Miles from Kansas from his time at LSU. You can't have skeletons in your closet.
Okay, so Georgia went. Their last tournament appearance was 10 years ago. It was 2015.
Yeah, so I mean that's 10 years is a long time in college basketball.
Wait a minute, wasn't that the doubleheader years?
Frank Martin is the guy he's now at UMass.
Okay,
they had double headers in the SEC tournament at that time, so you could play 2 games.
Georgia won it, right?
Yes, it was it was the same year that they had that huge ice storm, and they had to close the arena, and then they opened it back up.
Didn't they play it?
You're talking
at
the Georgia
Arena or
Dome,
something?
Right? That was when it was still at the Georgia Dome.
Yes.
But didn't they play some of the tournament at Georgia Tech's arena?
They may have had to because of the ice storm. I remember there was an ice storm and there was some kind of failure. The roof was leaking, and there was some kind of failure of the roof or something like that. So they may have moved those games to Georgia Tech. I'm almost sure at least a couple of them they did. And I think that's the last time Georgia won anything in the tournament. And oh yeah, by the way, Sean, you also predicted that Xavier would beat UConn at home at Xavier.
Yeah, I mean, Cintas Center there in Cincinnati is a notoriously tough place to play. And Xavier's, fans, they come out and they represent, that, and they were kind of smelling blood in the water with UConn. Something's wrong with UConn this year. They're because their talent is still there. They got a lot of top-rated, talented players on that team, but for whatever reason, they haven't meshed. And maybe that's on the supposed, as he said, to that ref, the best coach in college basketball. You can agree or disagree with that on Hurley, but UConn is a wounded animal right now. They've been taken out because everybody's gunning for them and everybody wants to beat them. Because it just after the last 2 years where they felt like they were the greatest thing since sliced bread.
But they weren't that great in the regular season.
Well, last year they were. The first year they won the title, they were not.
That's right. Which means that they're dangerous.
Yeah, they're not out of it. I don't think they're out of it.
No,
I think
they're definitely not out of it. They might fall out of the top 25, but they're definitely a tournament team thus far.
What happened to Louisville? Because they were horrific for a couple of years.
Well, they got rid of their coach, Kenny Payne, which was a Calipari aficionado and
I knew
former.
That much, yeah, but
so their new coach,
amazing turnaround.
Yeah, he's did really well. Even since inside this season, early on in the season, nobody had any confidence in Louisville, including me. But they keep on winning, and they had a great win against Wake Forest tonight.
And Kansas is losing at home right now in the second half.
To Central Florida, which is crazy. But that Houston game took a lot out of them the other night. But they still shouldn't be losing to Central Florida. I would guess they pull that game out. Towards the end. But
when I was at Rollins College in Winter Park, Florida, UCF was our big rival. They were Division II.
Yeah, I can remember those days.
That's going back when they're Division II. Now they're Division I.
Well, I went to college with Henry VIII, so.
Henry VIII, I am.
Now,
yeah.
the other thing I predicted, which I want to get Ed's thoughts on, I told you that was going to be a tough trip to West Lafayette. Watch out for Purdue, Michigan, and you guys took it on the chin. That was a beatdown.
Yeah, it was, and we were also lucky to beat an average Penn State team last night.
Yeah, that was a little closer than I would have thought it would have been for Michigan.
So
Penn State's not, to me, the greatest team in the world.
They're not, and but the Purdue game, that was. I mean,
that's my only thing I was saying, Ed, was that if the game had been closer, if it had gone down to the last couple minutes, then I would agree with you that Michigan is back, because Michigan hangs around in those games when they're truly, Michigan. To me, they're on their way back. I think they're on their way back with their coach. You got a great coach, but I think you need another year, maybe two, of building that program back from where.
When I say back, I mean we're going to the tournament. There's no question about that. Are we going to win?
Well, you get the benefit of that doubt because you're in the Big Ten. Let's
So let's ask this then: can Michigan compete in the world of NIL and transfer portal in basketball? I mean, surely they got plenty of money.
Sure.
At Michigan.
Sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
I mean, if they're not the biggest alumni base, they're the second or the third largest. Yeah, I mean, they got plenty of money and plenty of wealthy donors. Yeah, I mean, it only takes, 6 to 8 guys to field a competitive basketball team. Yeah, Michigan's going to be fun. And they're in a state where that produces a lot of good basketball talent. I mean, they're going to lose a few to Michigan State, who's having a very good year.
Yeah,
but
they look rough. They're beating the shit out of everybody.
Yeah, but outside of Michigan State, I mean, Michigan should be at the top of the Big Ten every year.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean,
with all the resources at their disposal, they've got a history of winning basketball. I mean, there's a lot they should be able to do.
So you talk about surprise Big Ten results. How about Minnesota upsetting Oregon? Oregon was a top 15 team going into that game. I haven't checked this week's top 25, but losing that game at Minnesota, which Minnesota hadn't won, I think, a home conference game yet this year until Saturday when they beat Oregon.
Well, Minnesota's taking it on the chin against those Spartans tonight. They're down.
Well, it's Michigan. Yeah, come on, it's Michigan State. Michigan State is out for blood this year for whatever reason. They've been playing everybody, really tough.
Yeah, they have.
They had a great win against North Carolina. I seen that game, and I was like, wow, that's a well-balanced, hard-nosed Michigan State team. I'm fairly impressed.
And Izzo's still there. How long is he going to keep going? I thought after we saw some of the other guys, retire, that he would be next, and he doesn't show any signs of slowing down yet. I think he wants to get one more championship before he calls it a career.
He's in his 70s now.
So who's got more wins, him or Rick?
If he's not in his 70s, he's awfully close. Let's find out.
I think he's got to be in his 70s.
Because I think he was classmates with Steve Mariucci, who was, the former 49ers head coach. He's 69 years young.
Okay.
He turned 70 when here? I think sometime soon here. What's today? The 20. So in 2 days he'll turn 70. January 30th is his birthday.
Oh hell yeah!
So, but kudos to him. As long as we can have a great coach like Tom Izzo in the game.
Does that make him a Capricorn?
Hey,
that I don't know.
All right, so we're going to take a break. We're going to take a. Oh, we knew that about you, Ed. Let's take a break, and we'll come back and we'll talk about what's coming up in the foreseeable future in college basketball.
eBay Authenticity Guarantee, it's checked by experts. Every stitch, tag, and logo. So you'll always get that feeling of real.
Go to smackology.42web.io and click our Fans Edge link for instant savings on awesome products.
You are watching Dr. Balls, and why the hell wouldn't you be?
All right, guys, welcome back to the show.
That was a long break.
It wasn't long enough for you. It wasn't long enough for you, was it, Ed?
No.
Are you on the toilet, Ed?
No, I'm not. I will be after the show.
I got you.
I wasn't going to mention it, but you asked.
I got you. Auburn goes to LSU tomorrow. That's a 6 p.m. tip-off.
Oh yeah.
6
Auburn...
p.m. 6 p.m. if you're standing where I'm standing.
You gonna watch it, Doug?
Fuck no. But I'll probably watch some highlights of it because I know Alabama and Auburn, their first meeting is coming real soon.
You think those will be highlights or lowlights?
It's lowlights.
Lowlights. You know, I got a friend that told me. He said, you know, me and him was on the road together doing fun work, and he goes, you know what, Rob? He goes, you put the low light. He goes, you're quick to put the low light on people, but you ain't never been wrong. So,
some people that just got that instinct. Dr. Balls has got that goddamn instinct.
Oh yeah, I can smell filth a mile away. You know, police too.
You can smell police a mile away.
Oh yeah, I can.
Remember that one night? Remember one night you had to drive to the top of the hill to do the show?
Oh yeah, I remember at Wells on top of the fucking hill, and you think it's in the middle of nowhere. And I guess everybody had the same problem I had. They didn't have no internet. They had to all drive up there at the same time, you know.
And you were kind of concerned it might be a cop. And I mean, you could have went to jail on the podcast. You didn't have video that night, so it would just been audio. But it probably would have got a few more views than normal once the word got out. Dr. Balls went to jail in the middle of the podcast.
It would have been awful. And I'm pretty sure that the other car that was over was somebody trying to fuck. So I was screwing them my mere existence, you know?
Yeah.
And so back to Auburn and LSU.
All right. Auburn, LSU, and Alabama also. Alabama goes to Mississippi State.
I believe that's going to be a hell of a game, guys.
That is going to be a good game because Mississippi State is pretty good.
They're sneaky. They're sneaky good.
That place is loud too. I think the fans are showing. This is another thing that's interesting about the SEC in particular this year is that we've had times where there wasn't a whole lot of fan interest. Some of the games, UK would play teams like Mississippi State and go in there, and then half the people in the stands are wearing blue. And that's not what's happening this year. The fans are showing up and they're serious. And Mississippi State has historically had some interesting basketball success, especially under Coach Dick Williams. And unless some serious home cooking stupidity goes on, I got Bama in this one. What about you guys?
Go ahead, Ed.
I'm gonna go with Mississippi State at home.
Close. I don't think it's unreasonable.
I just, like Dr. Ball said, unless there's some seriously nefarious officiating, Alabama's too talented. If they play their A game, if they aren't looking ahead to the clash with Auburn, it'll be close. But I got Bama winning by like 6 or 7.
And here's the reason I think that game is interesting is there's a matchup between Nelson and I can't remember the guy's name on Mississippi State, but that guy's a real powerhouse of a dude. Nelson's kind of skinny, but Mississippi State can win the physical side of that matchup, and Nelson shoot their eyes out. So I find that an interesting part of the game. So Mississippi State's going to have to recover real quick on defense because Alabama has so many shooters, and as you know, they want to shoot it, and they want to take as many shots as early in the shot clock. It makes sense, and so Mississippi State's going to have to consistently close out on the shooters quickly, and I think it's going to be a great game.
Yeah.
What's Kentucky doing?
If Alabama shoots the 3 like they can, we've seen them do it. It could be a rough night for Mississippi State.
Oh yeah, that's the whole key to it. Oh yeah, by the way, I've got to mention that Marquette is closing within 1 of Butler at Butler, which is a tough place to play.
Fieldhouse, man, that's where Hoosiers was filmed. Tough place to play.
Sean, tell us about the Big East coming up, starting tomorrow into the weekend.
Well, the Big East, first and foremost, tonight they continue to do what they do. Our Dr. Balls is one of his favorite former coaches, Rick Pitino, and the Johnnies keep rolling. They are at the top of the conference.
They
It didn't
clobbered
take
Georgetown. Georgetown's fallen off a little bit.
well.
They
And the
started
sad
off
part
well.
is sad part for Georgetown regarding that is that they plucked Ed Cooley away from Providence, thinking that would turn their program around, and thus far, 2 years, 3 years into the
Well, they are better this year. They are definitely better.
They
are
couldn't get much worse, Ed. I mean,
no, of course no, but they are better. They are probably right now like a second 4 out team.
Yeah, I mean they're above 500, which is key, to turning a program around. But they are under 500 in the Big East.
Next 4 out.
Yeah. Well, I'd say probably the 4 after that. I wouldn't say they're, I think they're probably like in that 9 to 12 out range, not the 5 to 8. But
okay, splitting hairs.
Yeah, but they're better. It's taken Cooley longer than we thought it would take. I'm still curious to know how intense the Hoya backers are of helping them out with NIL. I mean, it's a fertile recruiting ground there in the D.C. Metro area, along with Virginia and Maryland.
Well, but you cannot, under any circumstances, skate by at Georgetown on academics. So you can't just fuck around.
Very difficult academic program there at Georgetown. So now they made some acquiescences during Big John's time there, but for the most part, yeah, you gotta.
And they don't have football money to hire people to do some nefarious shit that maybe a school like Stanford could.
I don't even. Does Georgetown even have a FCS program for football? I don't think they do.
No, they're like Division III or something like that.
Yeah. So yeah, football's not even really a thing there. But I mean, Cooley's getting them turned around, but it's going to take a little more time. But it's a great history and tradition there, Georgetown basketball, both playing the games at the the Wizards Arena as well as their little bandbox gym on campus.
They don't play any meaningful games at McDonough.
Well, they still do, because I saw the other day they got bumped for a Capitals game at the big gym, so they had to play a game at McDonough. And I like McDonough. Actually, I like a lot of the.
Have you been there?
I've only been by it. I haven't been inside of it.
I used to live like 3 blocks from there.
But a lot of the Big East schools have those little bandbox gyms still on campus that are used for some of their other sporting programs now. But I wish a lot of the teams would play a few more games than they do at those gyms, just because of how cool they are, the old school intimate vibes that you get from them, like the old Cat House at Villanova. Now Villanova obviously plays most of their games in the Sixers arena. Even St. John's, Carnesecca's little field house there in Queens is a great venue to see a game. It only seats, I think, 3,500 versus them playing most of their games at Madison Square Garden.
McDonough has some great courts right outside the gym too.
Yeah. I mean, so I'd like to see them play maybe 2 games a year in the smaller gyms. Versus right now, it's just like if necessary, they play a game there. But right now, though, the Johnnies are at 9-1. Marquette, if they can come back with against
down
Butler,
5 now.
3. A lot of time left, though. 16 minutes to go.
Yeah.
But if Marquette comes back, wins this, they'll be tied with St. John's at 9-1. Creighton sitting at 3rd, 7-2, and then UConn is 6-3 after the loss the other night. But the upcoming game, I mean, it's competitively in and out. Coming up, the big game. this coming weekend. And DePaul is still bad. In case anyone was wondering, DePaul is still bad at basketball.
And I really don't understand how a team that is
in the city
essentially in Chicago, I don't think they're not in the city. I don't think.
No, they are. They are
in
just
the city.
they are in the city on the near north side.
Okay, so how can a team
Close to the old Rosemont Horizon.
Well, that's the thing. So they're on the near north side of the city, but their arena is now just past Soldier Field, at the near the old McCormick Center. It's called Wintrust Arena, which they share that with the Chicago Sky, the WNBA team. Obviously that they play in the summer, so it's not a conflict. But it's hard to get their student body to go from the north side to the south loop for games when DePaul has been down and bad for.
But I just don't understand
long.
how a team in Chicago with that much talent can be that bad for that long.
Well, as you intimated, one, DePaul is like Georgetown. They're not changing their academic standards. Number two, their NIL and donors, it's not that strong, which is kind of shocking. And again, the great talent in Chicago, to add to it, is not staying in Chicago. You go back, Anthony Davis. He's from Chicago. He went to Kentucky. Antoine Walker. Dwayne Wade was from Chicago. He went up to Milwaukee and played at Marquette.
Yep.
So, the teams in the city, whether that's DePaul, Loyola, especially since Porter Moser is now down at Oklahoma, UIC, the Flames, since they don't have a coach of that's from the city anymore like they used to. Who am I missing? USC, DePaul, Loyola, and then Northwestern is just outside the city in Evanston on the north side, but they're kind of floundering in the bottom middle of the Big Ten. They're a outside shot at a bubble for the. I think Northwestern is probably going to end up in the NIT personally.
They're the best of the bunch in the city, though.
They're the best of the bunch in the city, and Northwestern doesn't have what you'd call a great history in basketball by any means. Now, the one thing they do have going for them is of the teams in the city or close enough. They're literally, you fall outside the north side of Chicago city limits, you're in Evanston, which is where they're at. But they have a brand new, for the most part, brand new. I think it's maybe 4 or 5 years old, but they completely redid recently Welsh Ryan Arena, their home basketball arena. It's a stunning facility. It is top notch. But to Ed's again, Northwestern is another school you talk about. Their academics are not the easiest. That's a tough school. That's like going to Vanderbilt. Now. Shout out Vanderbilt. They got a nice little hefty fine from the SEC the other day for court storming, but they don't care. They finally got a big win at home.
Yeah, that was a great win for them, and they played tough. There was a lot of fouls in that game too. But let's go back to St. John's. I find it interesting that they say now that Pitino is getting NIL money, and that the transfer portals is Ben Con team, obviously, and he's recruiting pretty well. I think the sky's the limits for St. John's. Pitino's obviously can coach.
Well, I think, one, you have a coach that has credential. That's number one. Number two, yes, their NIL is picked up, definitely, because their alums are excited. They haven't been excited for a while. But number three, if you can recruit a kid, whether it's out of high school or in the transfer portal, he's playing somewhere else, but this kid fits my program, and sell them on the fact that of the 22 regular season games you're going to play in, along with your conference tournament, is going to be played at the most famous basketball arena in the world.
Yep.
Madison Square Garden. I mean, where else do you want to play? I mean, no disrespect to the great arena, Rupp Arena, Pauley Pavilion. Ed mentioned Assembly Hall, but Madison Square Garden. You can walk by where the Knicks players dress, and you can envision that I can go from St. John's to maybe one day putting on a Knick uniform and playing here at Madison Square Garden, where LeBron and Jordan and Bird and Kobe and Patrick Ewing and all the way back to help me out, Willis Reed, played. I mean, that's a huge recruiting tool, to me.
And Kane's Steakhouse is right around the corner.
And you're in you're in Manhattan. You're in New York. You're at the Mecca, and then if you wanted to and the weather's good, you can go over to Rucker and play, some ball at Rucker Park. I mean, other than
you can.
Other than
I've played at Rucker Park. I've played at Rucker Park in my life. I was like
Dr. Balls played there, I think.
Yeah, I played there when I was like 29 or 30. I had to do it. And what I liked about it is you could basically carry as much as you wanted. I mean, everybody there had their hand under the ball, so why not me too, right? They're like, you're amazing. I'm there thinking this is the most I've been allowed to carry in my entire street ball career, and you're saying I'm amazing? And it was just a big show for them guys. And there was obviously some great talent there, don't get me wrong, right? But if it broke down to fundamental to basketball, I believed I could smoke everybody there. Now, I'm overconfident. They had 7-footers, dude. They had one dude was 5'3".
Dr. Balls, he's got his knees down. He's slapping the court, man. He's ready to D him up.
Oh yeah, because you can make your name that way too in street ball just as well, right? I'll even let dudes just for the show of street ball. I have purposely let dudes get around me so I can pin their shit to the backboard, right? And awesome. Because I'm 6'3" guards. There's not too many 6 foot.
Like, so not only are your home games at St. John's going to be at Madison Square Garden, which is the greatest arena in basketball. You got the Big East tournament there. Then you go on the road. We talk about arena. You're going to play at, where the Sixers play for Villanova. That's an NBA arena. You're going to play where the Wizards play because Georgetown. That's an NBA arena. You're going to play Marquette. Yeah. They play at an NBA arena, the Milwaukee Bucks. Who am I missing? I'm missing somebody. But, you're playing in big arenas.
Well, you're going to play at Louisville. That's a famous arena.
Huge arena. Louisville is 22,000.
So they play at the Yum Center now, but the thing I would tell Louisville to do is throw a few games, because it's still there, over at Freedom Hall, yeah, which is a classic, great gym. I think the Lady Cardinals still play their home games there. But then the other thing is these schools, most of them, like Ed said, there's not really a football presence at these schools in the Big East. Villanova, I think, has the best program, and they're in FCS. They play against, the likes of Montana State and South Dakota State, things of that nature. But so basketball is king at all of these programs, and they play in packed gyms. The only one that doesn't is DePaul, and we can't figure that one out. I think they need to get a good young up and coming coach that can recruit the Chicago area, which they haven't had. In fact, DePaul's so bad they fired a guy. They brought a guy in. He was worse, and they brought the fired guy before him back. That's pretty pathetic,
Who wasn't good.
No.
So this weekend there's a hell of a.
His name's got to be Mikey.
Yeah, well, I don't know if it's Mikey, but regardless, you can't. That will not get your fan base and your alumni and your student body excited when you fire a guy because he stinks. You bring another guy in. He stinks worse, so you bring the previously fired guy back to be, slightly below average again.
Because he agreed, because he was willing to do it.
Well, of course he was. It's a paycheck, Ed. Come on.
Right, but I'm saying they had limited options.
Well, to me, it's you got to be able to pony up the money and find a coach in one of these mid-major conferences that's up and coming. I mean, look that's what Michigan did. Where did Michigan's wasn't he at Florida Atlantic?
It was San Diego State.
No. No, the current Michigan head coach, I think, was previously at Florida Atlantic.
He was.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. You're right about
what
that.
DePaul needs to do is find maybe the guy at, somewhere in the Atlantic 10 or one of the West Coast Conference, teams or something. Like, you're in the Big East. You're bringing in the money from the Big East contract. So you have money there because the Big East has a good television deal. It's obviously not the Big Ten or the SEC, but it's essentially considered a power basketball conference.
What they need is a basketball version of Cignetti, because you not only need a good coach, but you need somebody with a very strong resolve and a shitload of confidence that isn't going to be like, screw it, I'm not going there because it might not work and then my career's dead.
By the way, Ed, I did Google Cignetti. I Googled him because he told me to Google him. It says he lost to Notre Dame in the first round of the college football playoff.
He did. But wait a minute.
You're
When
right. I
I
agree with your premise. That's what DePaul needs to do is find a guy like that at maybe a smaller program right now and get him in and get him energized. And they really have to commit to recruiting the city of Chicago. It's crazy. They'll list these programs like no offense, Bob, but they'll mention like a Moorhead State, and there'll be a player on Moorhead State who's from a public league team in Chicago. I go, well, that guy could play at DePaul, or Loyola or UIC.
But now, Sean, I said before the season started, to clarify, that Indiana was a sleeper team to make the playoff.
You were right. We feted you. We feted you, Ed. We did.
But I don't recall ever saying they're gonna win the Natty.
No, you did not. No, I'm just busting your chops a little bit. That's
no, I know.
And I was rooting for your team on Sunday. I'm sorry they lost. But the future is bright there, and
it is. And
you guys are moving from Maryland back into DC, is what I heard.
Well, I don't think it's done.
They're going to tear down the old one and build a new one on the same spot, is what I've read.
I don't know if it's a done deal. Now, I read something also because the new owner did say we're not bringing back the name, but there was something where the Redskins logo had been canceled. Well, apparently that's been undone.
Yeah, I think that there was a tribe that said the image is actually of their former chief, so they want that back. That's the rumor that I've read, but I don't think the name is coming back. But I don't think you need the name at this point. I think just playing quality football will bring. It looked like the fans had come back to the stadium you're at currently.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think this would have happened except that Amanda Blackhorse, after making 25,000 calls to Fred Smith's office, probably finally got through.
But you were right about Indiana. You're right about Washington being a sleeper this year. They were.
Well,
and now Maryland, you might be right about Maryland. They might make it into the tournament and ruin some people's dreams here.
They will.
Which would be good because Maryland has a great history, great tradition in basketball.
Yeah, and the Commanders.
I would prefer Maryland to still be in the ACC for all those great.
It's funny because I used to live and breathe the ACC, and when Maryland left, I'm just not even that interested.
Well, it's funny you mention that because just like how down the ACC was in football this year, Man, I haven't seen ACC basketball this down in a long time. It's not good in my opinion. Dr. Balls, what do you think?
Just the mid 70s. I'd say this was the lowest I've seen the ACC since Jim Sparkle, right? And that's a long time ago, you know.
Great broadcaster though. We love him on a call of a game. Jim Sparkle.
He's a great broadcaster. Tournament this year.
I mean, looking at the ACC, obviously you got Duke because Duke is Duke, and they got Cooper Flagg, and he's incredible. You know, if you don't think he's incredible, then you're nuts. But he's incredible. But after that, you do have a very good Louisville team. You have another sneaky Clemson team like we had last year, where you go, man, how did that Clemson team get all the way to the Elite Eight before finally falling to Alabama in a hell of a game, a rematch from the regular season, where Clemson that time in the tournament wasn't able to kind of gummy up the game with fouls and clunky play. Alabama just shot the lights out. Good night, go home. But Clemson's hanging around. They're 9-1 in the conference. And then it drops down to the next two teams are Wake Forest and Stanford. And then UNC's having a very non-UNC kind of a year. And then SMU. That's your top tier right now in the ACC. It's not good. It's not good.
Virginia, SMU has actually maintained some level of relevance even after Larry Brown left, and they were never anything before he got there. But they've kind of stayed pretty good.
Well, SMU, I think to Dr. Balls' point earlier, SMU is going to be good in most things because of NIL, because their alumni base is going to spend the money on everything. Which is basically what the head of their before it merged with the school basically said is SMU is back, we've got the money and we're going to spend it. So I think and that's the law of the land. That's fine,
and it's all in the name of religion, so it makes it even better for them.
Even better. Well, SMU is a good school academically. So,
it is.
But your stalwarts that you usually see in the ACC for basketball, Syracuse is bad. They're under 500. Virginia is terrible. They're under 500. North Carolina
is
State,
their coach?
Miami.
Miami was just in the Final Four, 2 years ago. They haven't won a game in conference. Virginia Tech is bad. Georgia Tech is bad. It's a strange ACC landscape you're seeing. Football, you go, okay, we've seen that before in football, the ACC be bad. But basketball, I think there's a problem right now in the ACC, and I think it has to do with NIL. I just don't think they're spending the money to compete with some of the other conferences that are ponying up the dough, The Big Ten and the SEC obviously are the biggest heavyweights. But the Big 12 is still right there. That's a really good conference in basketball, as it has been over the last few years. So, I think the ACC has to look inward and figure something out here. Maybe you're not going to be great in football, but for maybe Clemson and Miami, because they're going to spend the money, obviously, on football. But, man, you can't let your basketball go to hell in a handbasket.
But does Miami have anybody comparable is the wrong word, but somebody good to replace Cam Ward? Because he was really, without him, they weren't very good.
Well, they supposedly just got the best quarterback in the portal if he healed from his supposed injury, which was former Georgia quarterback Carson Beck.
I think he's a turnover machine. It's not that he puts out a huge volume of turnovers. It's just when they happen, right?
The timing of them is not ideal. Sure.
Well, that's a question mark because number one, he's not Cam Ward.
No, he's not. I will say I wasn't huge on Cam Ward, but seeing him in person, the one thing I will say that was incredible. the arm strength.
Well, the other thing is
the arm strength was incredible. I saw him in person make basically a 40-yard throw on a rope when they upset Cal. They might have gotten hosed in that game by
during Beck's one big year at Georgia. He had stupid weapons, and he didn't have those this year.
Yeah, not having a Brock Bowers and a Ladd McConkey is that'll hurt your production. But he beat Texas twice.
Once and a half.
I don't know when he got hurt late in the game against.
No, they were losing 13-6 at halftime.
He got hurt after half, didn't he?
He did not play in the second half.
No, I disagree with you. I mean, we need Doug. Doug would remember, because didn't the kid behind him only come in and play like all of 3 series?
I don't know. I watched that game. It seemed to be like he played the whole second half.
It was doggone near the whole second half before he got hurt, and Gunnar Stockton had to come in and play 2, maybe 3 series at most.
I thought he played the whole second half.
I think you're wrong on that, Ed. Our crack research team will get on it before next show, and we'll get an answer. But if the biggest thing is that he's got to heal properly from this injury and be able to go come next Labor Day.
Does he have the same injury that Purdy had?
I think it's close to, if not the same, it's similar for sure. But Purdy was able to go, week 1 but the NFL starts later. Miami starts the Sunday before Labor Day. I think that's either September 1st or August 31st at home against Notre Dame. So,
yeah, and Beck didn't want to play against Notre Dame, did he?
I think it would have been a different game for sure. I think Carson Beck would have been a healthy Carson Beck would have been a much more difficult task for Notre Dame.
But the other thing about
Stockton making his first ever start,
The other thing that's concerning about Beck is that he's playing for a lesser coach.
That's true. Yeah, I mean, Mario Cristobal is not Kirby Smart. That's for sure.
He's a decent coach, and he's nothing more.
Yeah, well, I mean,
time management is a big deal for Cristobal. He really has to get the time management down better. And there's been some disturbing trends in college football and time management that just are just plumb stupid in the way that they're doing things. But he's not even making the stupid decision. He's not making the right decisions at all in in-game periods and time management periods. And he maybe trusts these players to call those timeouts or to go ahead and run the next play real quick. But that's where Cristobal is failing, in my opinion, is time management.
I completely agree with you on the time management, Bob. But the other thing that, to me, why Miami isn't back just yet is again, from, we're all 3 of us are old enough to remember the dynasty years of the Hurricanes. They still don't play defense, and when they had Jimmy Johnson, and they had Howard Schnellenberger, and they had Dennis Erickson, excuse me, they played defense. They still don't play defense, and that's, you talk about defense wins championships, right? Well, look at 3 of the final 4 teams this year. You got the number 1, number 2, and number 3 defenses represented in the final 4.
Oh yeah.
For team defense. So, defense. You still got to play defense in football. And Miami, I mean, they barely squeaked that game out I saw them at when they played Cal out in Berkeley, 39-38. And for most of that game, they didn't play defense. So if they have any auspices of becoming the Miami of old and winning a championship, they better focus on, 1, finding a defensive coordinator, and 2, getting the players in that they need to actually play defense.
And the defensive backs was kind of Miami's one of their things at their peak, and the amount of defensive backs you can find around Florida, especially South Florida, is staggering. So that's a recruiting thing they're going to have to get better too. Or they might be recruiting that well in their own minds, but obviously those dudes either aren't staying long enough to develop or aren't developing to the extent they would have in the glory days of Miami. And so that I think that specifically on defense, they have to improve the linebackers in general and the second to the entire secondary, especially the corners. And he's got to look at his scheme. He's got a lot of single high safeties, which I believe is a horrible idea. Horrible idea. I don't know where people stake their career on this stuff, but a single safety, even a single safety, right? They're just, unless you're in a like 3rd and 1, and even if you do it then, play action goes for deep yardage. So I just don't believe in his coaching philosophy, and it's probably saying that the defensive linemen aren't good enough on their own to create pressure. So therefore, we've got to bring linebackers and stuff like that. And the second safety, when they're not high, they're bringing them. And I believe it's a lack of confidence in your defensive line. So maybe they have to start from there.
So I got to throw this out, Bob. One of our viewers is asking the question, are you actually Jerry Garcia?
I'm a big fan. I don't mean to emulate him, but I feel very well complimented by that. Thank you so much. Hell yeah.
Jerry's been dead for a while, hasn't he?
Oh, yeah. He's been dead for a long time. God rest his soul, man.
He did not live to a ripe old age.
Yeah. He partied pretty hard. I mean, if he's alive right now, I wonder what shape he'd be in,
Yeah, for the partying he did, he lived exactly 5 years longer than he should have, right?
Yeah.
There you go.
All right. So, Ed, you have anything that we haven't mentioned about the Big Ten that's coming up?
No.
Sean's already said that your Michigan Wolverines suck donkey balls at Purdue. There's nothing really left to say,
they did
right?
suck at Purdue, but they're probably going to make the tournament. I agree with that on that.
Yeah, I mean, look, we got spanked. There's no reason to suggest otherwise. We played. Look, Purdue is the better team, but we played like shit.
Oh, Dr. McCockner, a commenter. Big Ten having 3 Final Four teams. Yeah, I hope you put your mortgage on that with Vegas, because that's not happening.
So we got a few big games. We'll just touch on them real quick. We've got Kentucky and Arkansas, which is more like an emotional game. We've got Duke and UNC. That's one of the greatest rivalries in college basketball. And we've got Marquette and damn, I just said this came up. Is it Butler? No, not Marquette and Butler. Marquette and UConn this weekend. So those are all huge games.
Yeah, I don't even get excited this year about Duke and Carolina, but Marquette and UConn might be a nice little war, because UConn could use a win to
I
get
got
back
another
on
one.
track.
We barely touched on the Big 12 for Saturday, a game that I'm interested in. You have 2 ranked teams, number 22 Texas Tech at Houston, an old Southwest Conference rivalry. That should be an interesting game. We'll see if Tech can keep it close, and maybe they stay ranked if they pull the upset. And then Kansas,
the first team to 10 wins.
and then Kansas is at Baylor. I know Baylor's not ranked, but Baylor is a well-coached team there. So, and it's tough to win in Waco. So the Big 12 has a couple games Saturday. Obviously, the SEC has a slate. We talked about that. The one I'm surprisingly most excited for, again, Florida at Tennessee. I think that's going to be a great game. And then maybe one fly under the radar, because we talked about them earlier. Missouri, can they build on their win at home? Now they have to go on the road to Mississippi State. I think that's going to be a great game Saturday.
Hallelujah. So it's a lot of great college basketball. Everybody, make sure you sign up for subscribe to us, like and share, join the group, Smacking Off the Podcast 2024 College Sports Group or whatever. and buy the merchandise. A bunch of it. I need
Appreciate
some.
our listeners. Thank you to everybody listening.
Yep.
Streaming.
Hallelujah. So we
right,
love them.
All right, I'm gonna go smack off a little bit more.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Night, y'all.
Later.